Australian rugby, once a global powerhouse, entered 2024 in turmoil, with just a 20% win rate in 2023 and a catastrophic Rugby World Cup under the controversial reign of Eddie Jones. The Wallabies had hit rock bottom. Public confidence had eroded, the talent pipeline was uncertain, and internally the organization was fractured. The international rugby community had largely written off the once mighty Wallabies, and for good reason. The team looked tired, uninspired, and directionless. Yet, amidst the rubble, a spark was ignited, one that could mark the beginning of a rugby renaissance down under. That spark was Joe Schmidt. In January 2024, Rugby Australia made a bold move by appointing Joe Schmidt as the new head coach of the Wallabies. A Kiwi by birth and a rugby brain of the highest caliber, Schmidt had previously transformed Ireland into a world-class team, notching 55 wins in 76 games, a stunning 75% win rate. He turned a nation into a genuine contender on the global stage, and now he was handed the colossal task of rebuilding Australia's crumbling rugby structure. The mission: restore Australian rugby to global competitiveness. The timeline: urgent. Schmidt wasted no time implementing a structure rooted in his proven methodology: discipline, depth, defense, and clarity. He assembled a high-powered coaching staff and immediately set about evaluating the squad. It became clear that the Wallabies lacked consistency in both their defensive systems and offensive decision-making. Schmidt, a meticulous planner, began to rewire the team from the ground up. He placed an emphasis on depth, giving debuts to 19 players across the year, setting a 100-year record in Australian rugby. This level of squad experimentation reflected the bold approach once taken by Rassie Erasmus, who infamously developed a 50-man bomb squad for South Africa. For Schmidt, it was about finding the right combination of youth, form, and mentality. Schmidt's first major test came in a home fixture against Wales. It wasn't pretty, and it certainly wasn't dominant, but it was effective. The Wallabies walked away with a 25-16 victory, a result that didn't necessarily spark headlines, but signaled a change in energy. One of the key performances came from Tom Wright, previously discarded by Eddie Jones, who returned to deliver the match-winning try. Schmidt's decision to back Wright, and players like Jeremy Williams, who led the tackle count on debut, showed early signs of his tactical foresight. The Wallabies had taken their first steps on the long road back. One of the key trademarks of Schmidt's Ireland was his obsessive focus on breakdown control. He brought the same philosophy to Australia, using powerful forwards like Rob Valetini, a back-to-back John Eales medal winner, as the pivot in the forward pack. Schmidt began to re-establish dominance at the breakdown. Supporting players like Samu Kerevi and Len Ikitau added crucial stability to the back line, while big man Will Skelton lurked menacingly with his massive physical presence. Australia's efficiency and patience improved steadily. Although results remained mixed in the Southern Hemisphere tournament, with only one win in 6 matches, it was clear that Schmidt was using this time to prepare for a bigger stage, the Northern Hemisphere tour. The turning point of the year came at none other than Twickenham. Australia hadn't beaten England on their home turf since the pool stages of the 2015 World Cup. The English pundits scoffed at the Wallabies' chances, pegging them as 5-1 underdogs. But Schmidt had other ideas. Early in the game, England took a commanding 15-3 lead, looking like they were going to steamroll the Aussies. Then came Joseph Suaalii. The former NRL star took the field and immediately impacted both attack and defense. His aerial skills disrupted English restarts, and he was pivotal in setting up the Wallabies' first try. Suaalii's presence gave Australia a mental and tactical edge, something they had been missing for years. The match became a thriller. 5 different Wallabies scored tries, and in the dying minutes, it was 19-year-old Max Jorgensen who produced a piece of magic to clinch the win. The 83rd minute try sent shockwaves across the rugby world. The Wallabies had defeated England at Twickenham. Joe Schmidt's impact was now undeniable. Next up was a second clash against Wales, this time away from home. If the first match was about testing combinations, this one was about execution. The Wallabies exploded offensively, with Matt Fessler scoring a hat trick and Tom Wright matching the feat. Despite a red card to Samu Kerevi, Australia held their composure, fending off any serious Welsh comeback. Pundits noted a marked difference in individual player performance. Players like Lolesio, once hesitant and disjointed, now looked calm and in command. His transformation was seen as a direct result of Schmidt's influence. The Wallabies were becoming a team with identity and rhythm, 2 things that had been missing for far too long. Momentum, however, took a hit in Scotland. The Wallabies put up a spirited fight, but Scotland's speed and precision were too much. Defensive lapses and a lack of composure in the latter stages saw Australia lose shape, particularly after Suaalii was substituted. Despite the defeat, there were glimmers of hope. Harry Potter made his debut and scored a try in the 75th minute. The Wallabies kept pushing until the very end, showing grit and depth even in loss. Schmidt acknowledged the areas for improvement, particularly around defensive alignment and discipline under fatigue. The final match of the tour was against Ireland, Schmidt's old team and current world number 2. With only 6 days of recovery and travel time, expectations were modest. But what unfolded was one of the Wallabies' most complete performances in years. Australia led 13-5 at halftime, showcasing aggressive line speed, structured attack, and resilience at the ruck. Schmidt's fingerprints were all over the performance. Aerial contests won by Suaalii, crisp ball movement from the backline, and fierce breakdown contests led by Fraser McWright. But Australia faltered in the second half. A conservative mindset crept in. Penalty kicks put them ahead, and rather than press forward, the Wallabies tried to defend their lead. Ireland clawed their way back and narrowly edged out a 22-19 win. Schmidt, in the post-match interview, admitted the team had gone into a shell too early, a mental mistake that must be corrected. Despite ending the tour with 2 wins out of 4, the signs of a cultural and tactical shift were unmistakable. The Wallabies had heart, structure, and most importantly, belief. They proved competitive against Tier 1 teams. Analysts and fans alike were in agreement. This was no longer the broken team from 2023. Schmidt had breathed life into the squad. The transformation wasn't just visible in score lines, but in how Australia played. More passes, more clean breaks, more carries. Players were being trusted, systems were working, and young guns were thriving under the new regime. As the dust settles on Schmidt's first year in charge, a clear blueprint for Australian rugby's resurgence begins to crystallize. This isn't a team driven by individual brilliance or star power alone. It's one being forged by systems, structure, and discipline. The Schmidt Doctrine, as some pundits are beginning to call it, is not just about performance on game day, it's about shaping the culture Monday through Sunday. Schmidt's methods, precise training, positional clarity, and high standards have started filtering down into Australia's Super Rugby franchises. Several coaches across the league have already reported noticeable improvements in player preparation and mindset, influenced by players returning from Wallabies camp. It's a trickle-down effect that is beginning to raise the national rugby IQ. In terms of depth, Schmidt's decision to blood 19 new players in a single season wasn't just a bold experiment, it was a necessity. Injuries, burnout, and the brutal demands of the international calendar mean that no modern rugby team can rely on a core 15 players anymore. Schmidt understood this and built a squad, not just a team. He also hasn't shied away from hard conversations or unpopular calls. Big names have been dropped, rising stars have been backed, and leadership roles have shifted. Players are being selected on performance, not politics. Another clear marker of a new rugby culture emerging under Schmidt's command. As we peer into the horizon of Australian rugby, one thing becomes clear. This isn't just a brief resurgence. It's the foundation of something much bigger. The next 2 years are pivotal. In 2025, the British and Irish Lions will tour Australia, a rare career-defining test for any international coach. In 2027, the Wallabies will host the Rugby World Cup. These are no longer distant ambitions. They are fixtures etched into the roadmap of Schmidt's vision. The transformation must continue. Schmidt's Wallabies must now evolve from a difficult team to beat into a consistent contender. That means addressing second half mental lapses, expanding the tactical arsenal beyond basic shapes, and building ironclad discipline under pressure. Crucially, it means finding a long-term fly half who can run games with authority, nurturing a back three that blends aerial skill with counterattack flair, and continuing to integrate physical forwards who can match it with the likes of South Africa and France. There's still work to be done, no illusions there, but for the first time in a long time, Australian rugby isn't looking for saviors. It's building something sustainable. Joe Schmidt may never be the most charismatic figure in front of the cameras, but on the whiteboard and in the locker room, he's crafting something truly special. Australia might not be world champions just yet, but under Schmidt, they're no longer just a memory of former glory. They're a force reforming, methodically, relentlessly, and with purpose. The Joe Schmidt effect is real. Australian rugby, once left for dead, is now bubbling with optimism. With the British and Irish Lions tour coming in 2025, a home World Cup in 2027, and a shot at Olympic gold, the stars are aligning for a golden era. Joe Schmidt, the quietly brilliant tactician, may just be the man who orchestrates Australia's rugby redemption. Australia isn't back just yet, but they're knocking on the door.